What year was it? 1974. And in 1974, there were some youngsters on dialysis at the clinic who expressed an interest in going to camp. And of course, at that time, there wasn't any camp devoted just to kids who were on dialysis or who were transplanted. But there were some other camps around for children who had various illnesses. So they went to one of these camps, and they were supposed to stay for a 2-week period of time. And they came back after about 2 days. And their comment was that these kids at camp are really sick, and we're not sick. And they felt very uncomfortable being at camp because that camp seemed to accentuate the problems that were there rather than accentuating the things that they could do. Now with the other kids, I guess that was more realistic, but for them it wasn't right. So we talked about this a good bit amongst the staff in the dialysis unit and the other physicians, and decided that what we really needed to do was find a camp that was just for kids who are on dialysis or kids who had been transplanted. We found to our surprise that no such camp existed. So we thought, not to be daunted in any way, we thought we'd try to set up a camp for initially for the kids here in Nashville and perhaps in Tennessee, so that they could have a camp experience. And we did all this discussion during the winter of 1974, so that the first camp really was in the spring, in June of 1975. And that was the first Camp Okawehna, which was a very exciting experience, and in some ways a little bit terrifying, but everything came out fine, and we've been going ever since. But the biggest hurdle was finding a pediatric nephrologist. And because we recognized that we were all totally into adult nephrology, and that kids were a bit different, and that in order to be safe for the children, we really needed to have, as a medical director for the camp, a pediatric nephrologist. And naively, I thought this would be a slam dunk. And then finally, I called a nephrologist, a pediatric nephrologist in Texas, and he said, quote, "I can't do it because I'm doing ABC, but I know a guy who's just crazy enough to do this." And he recommended that I give Bob McDonald a call at Emory in Atlanta, which I did. And I got halfway through my spiel, which each time I, sort of embellished the wonders of camp in the Middle Tennessee. He just interrupted me, said, "When is it?" And I told him the dates, and he said, "I'll see you there." But he showed up in a camper, and he was our initial medical director and stayed with it as medical director for a number of years. But that was obviously a key ingredient. I don't know whether we would have been brave enough to go ahead and do the camp with all the things that camp entails without having Bob on hand. He was important.
This is the last day, and I hope everybody's had a good time. Who had a good time?
I don't know as much about kidney patients as Keith does, but it certainly seems that this is a chance for them to be on their own and to behave more or less as regular kids do in the summertime.
I think one of the things that we're trying to work out and investigate at least is if we can set up a dialysis facility, a hemodialysis facility at the campsite, so that the campers don't have to come into town, those that do require dialysis, in order to dialyze. Because by coming into town, they miss a couple of days' activities at camp, and I think they'd much rather be out there dialyzing than coming down to Nashville to get that treatment.
Getting on that machine, man, those people got me down. Head for the quick sack, gonna get me a snack. Making that long ride back from town, stopped by the cop. Going to Camp Okawehna. Going to Camp Okawehna. Camp Okawehna. Camp Okawehna.
I think we're having a good time too as counselors, and I think the kids and the adults have a good time together, and that's fun.
Hi folks, welcome to Camp Okawehna 1984. Me and my friend friends are gonna go get something to drink now. We'll see you later.
I think particularly in the new campers and even in the old campers, it's a little bit of a new situation even if they've been to camp before. I think the relationships between the campers within a cabin is a very interesting thing to watch evolve. And from our son, who was out there in one of the cabins with the kids, he pointed out that at the beginning there was a great deal of not harassment, but kidding about one another, where they criticized one another perhaps for things that they were doing. And as the week progressed, this decreased until by the last couple of nights of camp, there was a companionship within the cabin.
I think it's sometimes also it could be thought of as it's the one week when we can do something, not because we're paid for doing a certain number of hours of work. It's just it's a work of love. You know, we go out there knowing that these kids don't have all the advantages that we would like children to have, and somehow or other, to them, to the children, our time there and our love just makes them feel better, and of course it makes us feel tremendous, knowing that we can help them in one small way. And all in terms of competition, all the competition between the doctors and the technicians and the nurses and the trials and tribulations that occur in the hospital and in offices just disappear, because we're not there working for ourselves, we're there working for the kids, and it makes everything just make sense. It's a really good time.
I think coming to camp is a very different experience from all the people who participate in making camp what it is. It's very different from the treatment facility downtown. It certainly gives us all an opportunity to see the patients in a totally different light. It gives the patients an opportunity to see the healthcare staff under different circumstances too. But I think that everyone who has participated in the kidney camp has come away feeling that the experience to them was very important.
Mom, it's me! It's me, Mom! Yeah, I'm having a good time at Camp Okawehna. Yeah, that snake? Oh, no, it didn't hurt bad when it bit me, though. No, it didn't hurt bad.
They come to camp and they find a youngster at camp who has perhaps more problems than they themselves thought that they did. And they can watch this youngster overcoming his problems, and they can admire him or her for all that he or she has done at camp to be helpful to each other and to kind of set an example for everyone to go home and be perhaps a little more independent and more aware of the things that they can do as opposed to the things that they cannot do.
It's an important part of what we do during the year. It may be the most important thing that I do in the year, and I think that I allocate this time to camp very seriously and don't let anything else get in the way of it, because it allows for me an opportunity to go to someplace to sort of reassess why I'm doing what I'm doing, and to have some time to really figure out if it's all a worthwhile thing. And obviously camp is a great place to reaffirm one's commitments to the patients as a group and the concept of trying to help patients with kidney failure.